The other day, I was looking through a list of the world #1 performances in 2025 in athletics, and this is quite the impressive list. We saw Mondo Duplantis break 4 world records this year, reaching 6.30 meters in the pole vault. We saw Kashane Thompson from Jamaica prove his speed yet again with another world-leading mark of 9.75 in the 100, and we saw the newcomer Colin Kabanashippi drop an absolute bomb in the 400, achieving a world #1 mark of 43.53 seconds. The full list of world #1 performances in track and field this season are slam-packed with many of the best performances in history. There's a few world records in here, there's the second fastest 400 in history from Sidney McLaughlin-Levrone, and there's many national records that will go on to stand for years. However, there was one performance that was different from the others. In fact, it's something that really seems like it shouldn't even be possible. It's Noah Lyles in the 200 meters with his 19.51 second world lead. And the reason that this specific result is so much different than others is because he actually ran this in the semifinal. If we go back to this year's World Champs, Noah dropped this absolute nuke in 19.51 seconds in the semis, and in his own words, he backed off over the final 10 meters. To get a world #1 mark over everyone else in the world while intentionally slowing down in one of the most competitive events in track right now is just diabolical any way that you look at it. Now, after running this 1951, Noah's 200-meter final resulted in almost the exact same time, as he crossed the finish in 19.52 to win his 4th consecutive World Championship title in the 200. And this came in one of the deepest 200 fields in history, as this race marked the first time that all 3 medalists ran under 19.7 for the final. On paper, Noah's 2025 just wasn't supposed to be this fast, but with yet another undefeated season and a record-setting 7th world #1 ranking, what exactly does this mean for Noah for 2026 and beyond? Well, it means something pretty big for Noah Lyles.
So this was one of the hardest races for you. How did it feel crossing the line at first for you?
I felt really good. Because they ain't gonna beat me now, they ain't gonna beat me ever.
This is Noah Lyles just moments after winning the 2025 United States Track and Field Championships in the 200. With a finishing result of 1963, Noah managed to take down Kenny Bednarek in Eugene, a man that had been undefeated up until this point. And despite running much less on the international scene due to injury, Noah showed up and put together another half-lap masterclass. Even when Noah was struggling to find his form, he took down an athlete that had defeated some of the best runners in the world this season. And with this single win, Noah's confidence absolutely skyrocketed. After winning 200-meter races in Monaco and in the US Champs, Noah followed this up with a solid 1974 in Zurich, taking down the Olympic champion Teboho from Botswana by just a few hundredths of a second. And then after these 3 races, he then came back to the World Championships, and he was even more hungry than before. With times of 1999 in the opening round, 1951 in the semis, and a 1952 in the final, Noah closed out yet another undefeated season with a bang, and over the course of just 2 days, he ran the 2 fastest times in the world for 2025. And when summarizing his season, it is yet another historically fast year. He only ran under 20 for every 200, he won yet another Diamond League trophy, totaling 6 in his career, and why don't you take a guess at what his season average was in the 200? Don't forget this includes qualification rounds and every other performance before that. Well, his season average was actually 1974, and this does include the qualifying races, but if we eliminate these races, Lyles' 200 average goes down to 1965, objectively one of the quickest years in the history of the 200. Noah's sprinting career has been defined by his ability to put together the absolute best races of his year when it matters the most, but it's also been defined by his ability to effortlessly close his races faster than anyone else in the world. Take this year's world champs, for example. In the semis, he achieved split times of 10.14 for the opening 100, followed by a 9.38 for the final 100. Now, this 9.38 was far and away the fastest close in the semi, and then for the final, he did it again, running splits of 10.12 for the opening 100, followed by a 9.40 over the final 100. When Noah officially crosses into championship racing season, he is a dangerous athlete, and he is almost guaranteed to win if he's even in relatively good fitness. And even though his 2025 was quite impressive, as he also won the bronze in the 100 and the gold in the 4x1, not everyone has been happy about his placement in the World Athletics Athlete of the Year conversation. Over the past few weeks, the track and the field athletes of the year have been announced on the World Athletics Instagram page. And for the track athlete of the year, the finalists have been announced as Emmanuel Wanyanyi from Kenya and Noah Lyles from the US. Now, both athletes were the world champions this year, and they both have the world's fastest times in their respective events. But many have expressed both concern and confusion as to why Noah was actually placed in the finals in the first place. One person actually wrote, "Why is Noah a finalist? Let's be for real here, I'm American." Someone else wrote, "What did Noah do?" And someone else wrote, "I don't understand Noah being here, I swear." And to all of these complaints on Instagram here, let's just unravel why Noah, in fact, does deserve to be here as a finalist. He went undefeated in the 200, he averaged 1965 for the 200 meters, he ran the world lead for a record 7th time, he was also undefeated in the 60 meters, he won the Diamond League final for a record-setting 6th time, which is more than any sprinter in history, he only ran under 20 seconds for the 200, he was the world champ in the 200, he was the bronze medalist in the 100, he anchored the 4x100 meter relay team to a gold medal with a split of 8.84, and after struggling with injury for much of the year, his first race back was in Monaco. You know, one of the most competitive and high-profile races of the year. And in this event, he managed to take down Letsile Teboho from Botswana, last year's Olympic champ, in 19.88 seconds. I'm not sure if it's just Noah being so good for so long, resulting in voter fatigue, or if these people genuinely just don't understand how track works, but Noah really did put together an amazing season, and it rivals some of the best 200 seasons in history. Now, out of all of Lyles' accomplishments, out of all of his accolades and championship moments this year, I think that his biggest win, his single biggest and most influential moment of 2025, was his first place win at the United States Nationals. Now, over the past few months, this 200 race has been overshadowed by the fact that Noah and Kenny Bednarek had a fairly interesting moment as the race finished, as Noah stared down Kenny at the finish line, and then Bednarek actually pushed Noah about 10 meters after they crossed the tape. But looking outside of this drama, the race itself here was absolutely fascinating, because over the opening 100, Bednarek got a solid gap over Lyles, and even though he had about a step and a half on Noah, Noah still made a crazy comeback, which resulted in his final 100 being measured in approximately 9.31 seconds. This close was even faster than his World Championship finish, meaning that Noah's strength is still at a ridiculous level. But the reality of his 2025 season was that it was only a small fraction of what he was truly capable of doing. If Noah had a full season of training behind him, with no injuries to prevent him from running, there is no doubt that he would have gone faster than 1951. And while this finish was already impressive, Noah's sights are still set at a much faster clocking. During much of Noah's 2025 campaign, he talked about the possibility of winning yet another 100 world title, but he also talked about the idea of breaking Bolt's 200 record. Now, Noah's 100-meter training most definitely requires much more power work compared to 200-meter running, meaning that getting his start and opening phase down becomes much more of a priority when primarily focusing on the 100. If Noah were to set his sights completely on the 200, he firmly believes that he can, in fact, get the record, but the 100 is ultimately where he won the Olympic gold. Being so good at two different events requires a very careful balancing of skills that most could never master. You need to get your start at a very elite level, you'll need your drive phase at max power, you'll need top speed abilities that rival many of the world's best. But you'll also need one special characteristic that Noah has mastered, and that is top speed maintenance. And this gift, as he calls it, could bring in some very special clockings for 2026 and beyond. Thanks for watching, everyone, and as always, until next time.